It's a good thing you have a key. It's true. I was like, you're forgetting more things? What's happening?
Sticky notes? Why?
Hey, sticky notes. Don't forget some stuff.
Hey, sticky note.
Well, anyways, hi guys.
Hello.
Hi friends. Welcome to the Semi-Bookish podcast. This is like the weirdest episode ever.
It is.
Not only because we're in a different room, but it's also a double feature episode.
Yes, in
No.
which we attempt to spend this whole time not talking about the horror show we live in.
So, what is everyone
So let's
enjoying
talk
right
about
now?
happier things. Tony.
Oh, God. Okay.
So, what have you been reading, watching, playing, doing? Also, Happy New Year to everybody else. But anyways, continue.
There was a movie I just saw recently, and I don't remember what it was. What did we just see recently?
You guys saw Nosferatu.
We did, yes, we did see Nosferatu.
That's not
We talked about that in the previous episode, which are we keeping?
It's
No.
lost.
It's lost forever.
Lost forever.
All right, yeah,
No,
the
it's
last
lost.
episode will reveal that
I enjoyed Nosferatu, which I believe you also did.
I
Yeah.
very
Or
much
unless
did,
you guys
yes.
went and saw a different movie
we did.
in that time.
Afterwards, and I'm like, what was it? I can't remember.
Was it The Brutalist?
No,
No.
that's what it was. Okay, so we watched the new Luca Guadagnino movie.
Yes, Queer.
Yes, Queer. Yeah, which
Okay.
I think didn't we? I definitely was like, I need to watch this again.
As was I.
Yeah, because it's
It feels like two movies almost to me. To me, at
Ooh,
least.
That's a good point. Yeah,
It's split into 4 chapters,
Mhm.
including that blog, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, yeah.
And it definitely gets more hallucinatory and bizarre in the second half, but also more
Yeah.
profound, I think.
Oh,
Especially with the ending, I really
yeah. No,
found it
that's
impactful.
yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely like one of those films that you're riveted by something.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much in there to recommend it that in order to figure out which other components are speaking to you, I feel like you have to watch it more than once, at least, And that's not something I feel with most movies, so that's nice. So,
Most movies.
yeah, it was great. It's a great film as far as
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Yeah.
It's, whatever else it offers and why it's great is a whole other conversation that would
One of the
require.
most unhinged soundtracks of recent memory, I'd say.
Yes.
Yes, like songs pulled from every decade, every genre, despite the
Yes.
fact that the movie takes place in the 50s. It's really interesting.
It's yeah.
But almost, I feel like, as I thought about it afterwards, like Mexico City in the movie is like a home for all these different runaways and everything. Maybe the songs being pulled from different eras and genres is kind of adding to that makeshift mixing pot type atmosphere.
I
I don't know, but that's just something I got from it.
Yeah, no, it's interesting.
Grant here with the really hardcore critical essays on
I don't know.
this is why this is happening.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about that more because that is an interesting perspective. I think.
Great performances too.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I think the only thing I'm still reading the Vampire Lestat because it takes me forever to read anything. And it's a big book, so there's that. I'm also hoping, probably before the end of the day, to start The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. I think that's how you say his name.
Is that the same author as the English? No.
No.
He has another interesting last name that I cannot pronounce.
Yeah, The English Patient is written by Michael Ondaatje, I think that's how you say his name. Yeah.
Okay.
I know how to spell it. I don't know how to say it. Ondaatje?
Something.
I think it's Ondaatje, yeah. Anyway, yes, I have not read The English Patient, nor have I read The Silent Patient, which are written very, very different writers from very different time periods.
Good luck getting a copy. One of our book clubs is reading that
Oh, I
right
bought a
now.
copy because this is the moment where I'm going to plug Troptastic Books and Gifts in Adrian, Michigan.
Ooh.
I went to that store for the first time this past Saturday. I spent $101 without trying. There were some things that I was like, ooh, she's got Heartstopper. Grabbing those, obviously, but she didn't have the whole series, right? So it was like, oh, cool. I'll grab what she has of that series. I grabbed one. She only had one Twilight book, and it had a cover I hadn't seen, so I grabbed that one because I don't own them.
Is it the brand new cover or is it the old cover?
It was a movie
Oh, was it the
tie-in
movie
cover
tie-in
of
cover?
New Moon.
Oh,
and
I've
it
seen
had-
that one.
Bizarrely, it had Jacob
Yeah,
holding Bella, which
Yeah.
is like, okay, sure. I don't
because he's the main love interest in that one, even though he's technically not.
That's true. That's a fair point. I found really good stuff there, and because it's a used bookstore, the book prices are absurd. I bought a new paperback for $7.99.
Love that for you.
Yeah, and the hardcover Game of Thrones books that I bought because they had the covers of the OG covers. Yeah, and those are
just the simple patterns or whatever.
no, like the OG like fantasy covers that,
I guess I
that
haven't
Game of
seen
Thrones
those.
books had when they were
Oh.
first published.
Like the 1990s covers.
Yeah, so she had too many of those for me to not buy, and they were only $1 more than the new paperback that I bought. So I was like, okay, this woman gets me. It's a great store if you live in
Did
Adrian,
you
Michigan.
Fire and Blood?
Yeah, she did.
So I guess
Get
I
Fire
need to
and
go
Blood.
Friday and go buy
Yeah.
Fire and Blood.
Yeah, so if you are a book enthusiast, Trotastic Gifts, Books and Gifts is the place to go. She's got an amazing collection, honestly. And I say that as a person who is so picky. So, yeah. All right, that's what I've
Grant.
done.
Hey,
What are you
Grant.
doing, Rand?
What am I doing? Why do you guys want to know?
Whatever you could tell
We
us.
don't, but the listeners...
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
We don't. Sorry, go home.
Who do you think we are? Your interested coworkers? Kidding.
That's I know. I know.
So what are you?
Just a little ribbing, just a little
tiny bit, So what's entertaining you lately?
Entertaining. I did see a movie recently called I saw the TV Glow. I don't know if have you heard of that?
No.
It's an A24 film.
Say 24. That's why I haven't heard of it.
How do I describe this? It's kind of like it's kind of like if you take Aaron will know what I'm talking about. Like, there's definitely elements of what that type of horror. Like, it's not internet horror. It's like analog horror. There's
Analog
definitely
horror?
some of that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So
okay.
the basic idea is
Analog horror is kind of like more like your basic 80s, 90s horror, and it really just kind of fixates on those like 80s and 90s tropes.
Oh.
and
of,
like
like,
the great and like old video.
An old
Yeah.
video.
So kind of like what is that? John Darnielle has a book like I think it's called Universal Harvesters or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, I
yeah.
like that,
Is that okay? Yeah,
Yeah.
similar to that kind of thing,
Mhm.
where like the emphasis is on Blockbuster and videotapes and
Yeah.
that kind of world of the analog
Yeah.
pieces.
That's where like kind of like your creepypastas come from, like
Yeah.
about video games and stuff.
It definitely
From-
has that vibe.
Gotcha. Okay, does it really? Okay.
It does. And it follows these. Well, it kind of follows these two people throughout their lives.
Yeah.
Until
There's
they die.
no spoilers.
So I called it, guys.
I'm not saying nothing. But they kind of bond. There are these two outsiders. They bond over this show called The Pink Opaque, I
Oh.
believe. And they both kind of have this connection
Mhm.
through that. As time passes, their lives take them in different directions. However, one of them reappears, and there may be more to the show than they previously thought.
Oh.
And reality and the TV show begin to meld.
Of course.
I will say, the ending is a bit of a bummer.
Well,
It's I don't know. It feels like a Twilight Zone
sure.
episode almost.
Sure.
There's definitely a lot of David Lynch inspiration,
Mm.
as admitted by the director on multiple
Okay.
occasions.
Yeah.
To the point where it's almost distracting for someone like me who's
Yeah.
very familiar with which RIP, by the way.
Yeah. David Lynch. Yeah.
RIP to a real one.
Do you have a favorite David Lynch movie? That's a horrible question.
That is a
honestly,
horrible
but-
question because he's kind of my hero.
That's gonna make us have a whole episode.
Yes,
Tony.
honestly, next year, David Lynch.
We
episode.
should have a David Lynch episode. Yeah.
You know your birthday episode's coming up and you haven't picked one.
It's true.
The David Lynch episode.
I think I have to.
See,
If I had to choose, I'd probably say Blue Velvet.
Okay,
I think
sure.
it's a very broad. It's broadly appealing, well,
Hmm.
still not compromising.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I
That's
love
it.
that.
Yeah, and I'm reading random stuff. So, Aaron,
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Let's get the book out of the way because that's the simplest thing that I can explain right now. I'm reading The Undertaker's Assistant by Amanda Scanandor, which is historical fiction set in post-Civil War New Orleans about a young African-American woman who had escaped over to the Union side, and during the war she works for like this like general or whatever, and it leads to her going back to New Orleans working as an undertaker's assistant to like living in a boarding house,
Oh,
trying to figure out to trace the rest of her kin
sure.
throughout the rest of the South or where
Okay.
they had gone.
Yeah.
So there's that. I'm watching Designated Survivor because Kiefer Sutherland exists.
Sure.
And that's all you need to care about.
Sure.
And then I'm playing Starfield still. And I'm running around with my character's companion, who I call her emotional support space cowboy.
We all need one of those.
Who she married, and it's great because she drives around the stars like in space in her ship with him and his kid, who's named Cora, and she's like the most biggest genius, and she always hounds her dad for more book money. And so it's really funny because you can turn around and you can go find books and you can go give her the books. And so I just turn around and you get like 10 EXP every single time you do it. And so you just go get a book and you go give it to her and you get like points every single time.
Who
and
made
I love
this
it.
game?
Bethesda.
Well, I mean, I know, but you. Yes, I'm aware.
And so I'm playing that right now. It's fun. I'm starting a new sim save because, of course, I am. Because I can't stand not having a new sim save in my life. Especially because they updated it and they're doing like a 25th anniversary thing in February, and so I need to play the game for that.
Nice.
However, speaking of space games, Starfield is making me really get into space games again, and so I really want to play Outer Worlds again.
Sure, yeah.
Which is great, because do you know what I'm excited for this year?
Outer Worlds 2?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which comes out sometime in 2025.
That's right, yeah.
Which leads us into our first half of the discussion. What are you guys excited for 2025?
Not much.
See, I segued right into that.
So
Yeah.
I'm actually prepared this time because for the last episode, I neglected to actually look up like movies that were coming out next year. that I'm
Yeah.
excited about. But
You should
either
go
you
first
can
then.
start. Okay. All
I
right.
mean, you know, you're prepared.
Sure. Yeah.
Rand's prepared.
One film I am very much looking forward to next year is Bugonia.
Oh.
Bugonia?
Bugonia.
And by next year, you mean this year, right?
This year, 2025.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
That's okay.
We're still mentally in 2024 where nothing bad happens. Anyways, continue.
Yes. So this is going to be the next movie from Yorgos Lanthimos, who,
Oh.
yep, he did Poor Things, Kinds of Kindness, Dogtooth, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, wasn't he also the Killing of a Sacred Deer guy?
Yes, which is my favorite of his.
Ah.
Which, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously I'm a big fan. He's teaming up with Emma Stone again for this one.
Ooh.
I'm not sure exactly who else is in it, but I believe vaguely the plot is like these two conspiracy obsessed people kidnap a CEO played by Emma Stone.
To be honest, that could happen in our current day and age.
Definitely,
I mean,
definitely, yeah.
Kind of
So just the premise itself is bonkers enough.
yeah,
I'm sure I'll get something out of it.
sure.
And he's one of my favorite living artists, so
Yeah.
I'm very excited for that.
What else are you excited for?
Oh, let's see.
He's got a list. I want to go through the
Okay,
list.
Marty Supreme. This is going to star Timmy Chalamet.
Tamagotchi Cucumber.
Tamagotchi Cucumber, yeah, in the flesh.
There. I'm already there.
So this is directed by Josh Safdie, who is one half of the Safdie brothers.
Oh.
Safdie brothers no more. They don't work together anymore.
Oh,
Unfortunately,
boo.
they're well known for like Uncut Gems and
Okay.
Good Time,
Yeah.
but they're kind of branching out on their own. I forget the plot for this, but honestly, one of the Safdie brothers plus Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah,
it's-
I'm there.
yeah, take my money.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Take my money.
And third
Where's
one I
that
have,
credit card meme where you just like bang the credit card on the table?
third one I have is the Battle of Bactan Cross, which is
What?
the Battle of Bactan Cross.
Okay.
Which is the new film from Paul Thomas Anderson. So Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood, stuff like that.
Yeah,
And it's going to star Leonardo DiCaprio. Some of the people who I
Leo D.
Leo D.
Yeah.
And rumors are it's very loosely based on Vineland by Thomas Pynchon.
Oh, okay.
We used to
yeah.
have that book here.
That's
but,
right. Yeah, the pinch. Okay. Yeah. One of his shorter books.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And PTA's already adapted one of his books in. What is it? It's Inherent Vice. Yep,
Oh,
which
that's
which is a fairly
right.
divisive movie. I need to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's very long, very
Is
quirky,
it?
but
Okay.
it's interesting.
Okay.
So I want to see what he does with this.
Yeah.
I started to read Vineland once, didn't finish it, not because it was bad, just because.
No one finishes Thomas
Yeah.
Pynchon novels.
But it definitely seems very satirical.
Yeah.
And I guess some of the scenes were filmed like at Ronald Reagan's childhood home, or like around his home or something.
That's interesting in and of itself.
Just a lot of stuff going on with this. So
yeah,
every time he drops something, it's an event. So I'm looking forward to it.
Fun. Yeah.
Those are the 3 I had. So those are some stuff I'm looking forward to.
Oh God, 2025 entertainment. I have no idea. I think, and it may not happen this year, I think Interview with the Vampire Season 3 is supposed to come out this year. And it's a big one because they're adapting Queen of the Damned. So, which, of course, if you don't know anything about literature, you've heard the words Queen of the Damned. So for all the people who don't know what that means, Queen of the Damned is the 3rd novel in the Vampire Chronicles. I think it was Anne Rice's, 9th or 10th novel, because I think Vampire Stott was her 9th, and then yeah. So Queen of the Damned was the 10th novel, and to illustrate how significant Queen of the Damned is to Anne Rice's career, to the vampires, to anything in general, her son loved to tell the story about when she went to New York to do a publishing event kind of thing of oh, hey, Anne Rice has a new vampire novel out kind of thing, right? Because Vampire Lestat was pretty good. It was I think it was number 5 or something on the New York Times bestseller list. It was, it was big, especially for someone who had not had that kind of attention yet after 9 novels. So, people were expecting the next one. So she's in New York meeting with her publisher for something, and they head out to go to the bookstore to do the signing, but they can't get anywhere close because there's major cops everywhere, and so Anne Rice approaches one of the cops and is what is going on down there? And he says, Anne Rice is having a signing. And that was a moment where she was just oh my God, what? And Queen of the Damned, was number 1 New York Times bestseller. It knocked Stephen King and Tom Clancy off the bestseller list when it was not easy to do that unless you were John Grisham or Danielle Steele, It was a huge, it was ridiculous how big. It was nominated for a Hugo.
Really?
Yeah, Queen of the Damned has a really weird, for the fact that its adaptation is one of the worst adaptations in all of adaptation history, it's horrible.
Is it a movie called?
Yeah, it's the movie called Queen of the Damned. Aaliyah played the queen character, Akasha, which is the only reason I even bothered to watch the movie when I bothered to watch it. It's terrible. It's a terrible movie. It's absolutely dreadful. And then when you start reading the material that it's based off of, you're they did what? This is not even the same. What is happening? So that book has a lot of really interestingly significant things about it that are sort of overshadowed by the fact that it's the big tentpole Vampire Chronicle thing. So I'm excited for season 3, especially because we also get to see Lestat become a rock star.
Oh, is this the Taylor Swift thing?
So here's the thing. So they are releasing original songs as a lead up with the guy who's playing Lestat. They were introducing original...
say less. I am so sold on this.
It's a gamble, though.
It's such a gamble. Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. I haven't bothered to listen to them because I'm if I don't listen to this while I'm watching the show, as I'm watching the show, I don't know if I'm going to get the same, feeling, the same charm. But I feel that production company and the people working on the show are so in tune with what they're doing. I remember one of the last tweets that I saw before I deactivated X because, hello, welcome to the times we live in, was from one of the writers on the show, literally with a battered paperback copy of Queen of the Damned with so many sticky notes sticking out of it. And they were gotta go through this again this weekend because gotta do some plotting and writing on the show. And I'm just if you're one writer doing that much digging into the book that's going to be the next season, I'm already ready. Especially because the first 2 seasons, as we all know, because I keep talking about it and I keep rewatching it, I've never seen anything on television that good. And I'm sure there are things that I've missed, right? I've never seen Peaky Blinders. I've never seen, there's things that I just know that would probably compete with the level of incredible writing and acting and production, but it's just so good. That show is so good. So I'm excited for that. I honestly have no book excitement this year.
Really?
There's nothing coming out in the book world that's making me go, yes, I want that book. Not a single thing.
Same. I'm more excited for the video games this year than I am about the books.
They're my
Interesting. So which video games are you excited for?
So,
Tell me your list, Aaron.
hi, yeah, I have a list. I pulled up the Game Rant list of the next the year releases so I could have it in front of my face.
Yeah.
So first of all, there's a game called Ys. It's YS.
Oh, sure.
It's like a series. The next one in the series is coming out. It's actually already came out.
Nice.
I haven't bought it yet because I still have to play through the whole entire series before I decide that I'm going to continue on with Ys. However, just last week on the Switch, Donkey Kong Country Returns released on the Switch.
Mm-hmm. And?
So super excited about that.
Okay. I don't need to spend. I do not need to spend more money.
Are you a Donkey Kong fan?
I love Donkey Kong Country. The first 1, 2, and 3. Absolutely obsessed with them. So.
Technically, I could play this on PlayStation, but Spider-Man 2 is finally going to come out on PC.
Oh, yeah, that's been a big wait kind of thing. Yeah.
Kingdom Come Deliverance has a sequel coming out in February.
So did you enjoy Kingdom Come Deliverance? Because
Yes.
I purchased it for $3 because it was $3. Okay, so I'm going to have to... okay.
Do I really like playing as a man? No, but did I enjoy playing Kingdom Come Deliverance? Yes.
Listen, I have resigned myself to the fact that in most video games, I'm going to have to be the white male with black hair who may or may not have a scar on his face, and he's got a grizzled history.
Next up that I'm excited for is Civ 7.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
also
of course,
coming out in
of course.
February.
By Civ, she means civilization, not
Yes.
Civ as in S-I-E-V-E.
River trading.
Yes. Also, Monster Hunter Wilds comes out late February.
Sure.
As well as that, because of course I'm obsessed with anything that's Sims related. My Sims has a cozy bundle. So EA is releasing My Sims, which is like one of their offshoot franchises.
Sure.
Which was really popular on the Wii. They released it on the Switch, which is great. But I like playing it on the PC.
Mm-hmm.
So they're finally releasing the bundle, which means I get My Sim Kingdoms, which is like...
Yeah.
I'm so happy.
Yeah.
What else is coming out that's really good that I can just yell off the top of my head? Inzoi, which is a Korean version of it's like a Korean Sims type game, and it's supposed to be kind of like a competitor, and it comes out in March, and I'm like, say less, I'm playing Inzoi.
Yeah.
I have been avoiding playing the, and I did this for The Sims too. I avoided playing the early access part of it because I just want to go in and be immersed in the game and learn about it as it comes out full stack as opposed to the early access.
Yeah. Because
you really only get a little bit, and I'm like, yeah. There's an Inazuma 11 game coming out in June. Not really too excited about it, but it's there anyways, and I'm kind of excited. Borderlands is supposed to come out this year.
That's right.
Borderlands 4.
Yeah.
So yes. Also, there's going to be a oh so lovely MMO coming out. Finally, after years of waiting, Dune Awakening is finally releasing.
That's right.
It's gonna be an MMO
Is that
on
this
PC.
year then? Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay.
They're also doing an HD 2D remake of Dragon Quest 1 and 2. Excited
cool.
about that.
Yeah.
Fable is also getting a rehash on PC.
This year? Is that the remake is this year, isn't it? That's right. Okay. Yeah,
Supposedly, we'll see how accurate this is. Game Rant says GTA 6 is supposed to come out this year.
That's up in the air.
So that's up in the air, so we'll see if that happens. Grand Theft Auto.
You know what I just heard yesterday?
Yes.
And given how horrible the last game that Rocksteady handled in this universe, I'm ready to throw hands already. But we'll see. So I saw a report yesterday. I don't think it will impact 2025, but a game blogger was talking about, or game vlogger, because it was a video, whatever. He was talking about the fact that there's a new contract that Rocksteady has been signed up for. They have been signed up to make several more Arkham games. And here's where they're starting. So basically, what they're gonna do here, the first two games. Their first one is going to be a remake, which basically probably means they're just going to redo all of the graphics. Would be my guess.
Or probably they're going to port it to make it better on more modern PC components or modern software.
So they're remaking Arkham Asylum. Yeah, I know.
That also leads me to my next point. Is recently they've been talking about on the Bethesda side of things, remaking or remastering Oblivion.
Oh yeah.
Shut up! Don't joke with me.
I'm
Do
not joking
joke
with you.
me.
I'm not joking with you.
Listen, I'm excited about that, but everybody just wants a remake of Morrowind, okay?
Yeah, but
Everybody
we'll get
wants
there.
We
We'll
will get there. We have to
2025.
do Oblivion first, okay?
Listen,
you wait your turn.
I need to replay this game with Lucy.
Now.
No, I need to replay this game in modern graphics
Yes.
with Lucy and Lachance. I need to have my whole entire heart ripped out and thrown onto the floor and set on fire by
Yes.
playing the Dark Brotherhood questline in Oblivion because
I just need to, because you know why I've never actually, I can't remember if I bought Oblivion and then tried to play it. I don't remember. But I cannot play Oblivion now because, one, graphics. Which I get.
Especially the people.
they look like potatoes.
Yeah, they look ridiculous. Which I can get, honestly, I can get by because I've played the game before.
Yeah.
The thing I can't get by is for the first significant portion of the game, the mechanics are unbearable. Because
Honestly?
I've played Skyrim. If I had never played Skyrim,
No, yeah.
I would have been
that's
fine.
absolutely it.
But because I played Skyrim, I'm like, oh, but this entire mechanic can be done way better. What is happening here? And I get it. Oblivion was the game they needed to make in order to make Skyrim. We just didn't know that when we were playing Oblivion. So we loved it
I
because it's
will say,
Oblivion.
playing
sorry.
Skyrim and then going to Oblivion and then going back to Skyrim, I accidentally brought back, so in Oblivion there's the mechanic that if you want to get your acrobats to be leveled, you have to just jump everywhere, so you're just going like...
Oh, yeah.
I accidentally turned around and I was so into that in Oblivion that I turned around and went back to Skyrim because I was playing a different save because I had downloaded the special edition. That I accidentally started jumping everywhere instead because there's no acrobatics in Skyrim.
No, not
and
at
so
all.
I'm just jumping everywhere. And I'm like, why am I even doing this?
I mean, to be fair, in terms of challenging, Oblivion is a much better game because
Yes.
you have to actually get good at it to do anything. And so you have to spend a significant portion of the game not dying or doing stupid stuff that's going to get you to die, right? Don't pick fights with the guards. They're going to kill you. You don't have enough. Whereas in Skyrim, I kid you not, I set myself this challenge once and I was shocked at how far I got. I literally picked a fight with the first Whiterun guard that I could find because I did the Bleak Falls Barrow thing first. Because I did this thing where I was okay, anything that you pass that you know you're going to do along the way, just do it now. So as you're passing by to get to that one little village or whatever, the first village, I think it's River...
It's River...
River Run?
Riverwood.
Riverwood, that's it, thank you. I was like, what is River Run from?
River Run, I think, is from
Game of Thrones. Okay, wow, that was embarrassing. Riverwood. You get there, right? I just was like, how about I don't go to Riverwood? Or actually, no, I went to Riverwood and I was like, let me cross the bridge and go to Bleak Falls Barrow, because it's right there, right? So I do. Go through Bleak Falls Barrow. It works out. I'm good. So then I make my way to Whiterun. River Run, Whiterun. See what I did there? Anyway, I was making my way to Whiterun, and I was like, you know what? I wonder, am I strong enough? Now, mind you, I have, like, literally the easiest magic you could have. None of my weapons, I think I could barely swing a double-handed whatever the heck, nothing. I had several guards chasing me because I killed 3 of them. And I literally was just running around, like, trying to kill all these Whiterun guards. They got me in the end. Because, again, I was, like, level 3 or 4 or something insane. But you can do that in Skyrim. Because, honestly, Skyrim's not supposed to be challenging.
It's like the mistake that you make where you accidentally kill a chicken when you get into Riverwood.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, Skyrim is... I understand why, like... If you've played any of the other Elder Scrolls games, you're going to want those more because they're just more challenging, and that challenge, like, once met, is so much more satisfying.
See, Fallout 4 does that also, where you... And so they changed that when you get into Starfield, because Starfield you actually have to go through a certain point in the intro to be able to go do whatever you want.
Oh, right.
But in Fallout 4, they do that exact same thing, where you turn around and you get out of the intro area, which is like you get out of the vault for the first time,
Mm-hmm.
you are technically not bound by any means. You can do whatever you want, and that's the most hilarious part. So you can turn around, and technically in Fallout 4, you're supposed to go down and go talk to Codsworth, and then he's supposed to point you in the direction of going to Concord and whatever you want.
Yeah.
You can literally turn around after you get out of the vault and then just make your way down to the glowing sea and, like, yeah, you can fight all the death claws you want as you're going down, or you can avoid them, but you can just go straight down to the glowing sea, go find that guy's cave, and right then and there, just, like, immediately immerse yourself in there.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because you can skip, like, half the story by doing whatever you want. I mean, granted, that's just a Fallout thing. They do that in Fallout New Vegas, too, where if you want to take the really hardcore way, you can go down the really dangerous area, and you could skip half of the storyline, and it's so funny.
Which you can totally do in Oblivion. You're just not going to get that far.
No.
Because someone's going to kill you for something you didn't know you shouldn't have done until you...
I will say the drop-in challenge I do notice from Oblivion to Skyrim. For me, it's the trimming back of the RPG elements, like the attribute system and the class system.
Yeah, no, I hated that.
They overly
actually,
simplified it, yeah.
so what I did
Sure.
was I ended up in Skyrim. I added a couple different mods to my game.
Mm-hmm.
One of the mods, and I don't remember what it's called. I think it's Winter Sun or something. So it re-adds religion into the game because it wasn't there in the first place. But dependent on your race, you can choose which, like, god that you want to start out with, or you can choose that you don't follow any at all. And so you know the different, like, areas in Skyrim. So, like, you have, like, Molag Bal's temple. You have, like, the Marunas Dagon, the Shrine of Azura, like, things like that. Or the Temple of Mara, things like that, right? You could go to any one of those temples and then pick one of them. But it also adds other gods from, like, previous games, like, or previous, lore into the game.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Another one that I added, and I don't remember the title of that one, but it re-added, it wasn't really classes, but the thing that it really did was, it took the stepping stones, and you could choose, like, your birthday, like, in the game, and it would assign you one of the stepping stones as your, like, actual... And this happens in Oblivion, too, when you choose not your class, but you choose the sign you were born under. So it re-adds that back in. And so you could and then there was also one where you could re-choose your class. And so I had reconfigured Skyrim to also act as Oblivion all at the same time, by adding some more immersive things in there. So that was really nice.
Yeah. Okay, so I apparently forgot that there are a couple of books that I actually am excited for this week.
Oh! I mean, I was going to ask the next question, but ask your thing.
2 of which I have pre-ordered.
Oh, Tony pre-ordered things.
Oh, yeah. So that's why I was like, oh, wait, I do have those. So there's one book, it's called Till Death by Kellen McDaniel. So, okay, it's a YA debut for an author who wrote under a different name, K.M. Spara, if anyone knows who that author is, wrote a book called Docile as their debut adult novel. So they've written, he's written a teen vampire book called Till Death, which honestly, the premise to me is really fascinating because it takes, so basically you have this 18-year-old human who is volunteering at a local nursing home. And at the nursing home, there is another couple, a 60-year-old vampire, and the teenager he fell in love with when they were teenagers. And they're both, immortal, eternal, what have you. No, that's what it is. No, the other teenager is a vampire. The guy he was in love with when he was a teenager has grown older and has become a 60-year-old human being who's, in the nursing home dying, whatever, what have you. So, and they're in an open relationship. So the old human notices how the new human and the vampire get along with each other. So he tells his vampire lover, like, you should go for it. Why not? He's not going to be, whatever. I'm not going to be alive forever kind of thing. So they end up creating some kind of romance, I suppose. But all at the same time, there's a fight for queer rights at this human teenagers' high school that they lose. And so the human teenager then sinks even further into this romance with this not teen vampire. I thought it was a really interesting way of making Twilight gay, in my view. But I'm curious to see how other people respond to it, because I think there's going to be a lot of people who are irritated with a lot of just the concept alone. But that's just me. I don't know. I'm just curious to see how it all works out. It sounds really interesting. And there's another book written by one of my Facebook friends. It's called An Ugly World for Beautiful Boys.
Okay.
And it's about this kid who, I guess he's a kid, not really. I don't know. Anyway, he has a horrible life in a small town, and so he moves to somewhere. Maybe he doesn't move. No, he doesn't move. Whatever. His older brother, who's apparently super supportive, wants to turn his younger brother into a spotless, quote-unquote, Disney gay with college, career, and a husband. But that is not the direction things are supposed to go in this sort of... It gives like a very... Like, they're calling it a gritty and harrowing queer coming-of-age novel, which I feel really, excited about, because it's not being published It's been being published by a small press that is known for pushing things. And it's not your typical YA, I'm a kid who fell in love with an older person kind of thing, and have a messy life. And I love the idea that someone finally found that book that was being written, or maybe encouraged the person to write the book, and they're putting it out there. I feel like it's a part of queer culture you never see examined, which is, younger gay men or gay women coming into their adulthood and finding their first loves or first interests being older people. I just think that's an untapped area of fiction, and I can't wait to read both of those books, just because they cover that in very different kinds of ways. One of my favorite short story writers is coming out with a novella this year, and I'm tentatively excited for it, because they're really good in a short story form. I just don't know how good they'll be in, a little bit longer of a form, if that makes sense, but we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see how this goes.
I'm trying not to be excited. Akweke Emeze has a new fantasy book coming out this year, so I'm excited about that. Mm-hmm. See, now that I got going, I guess I am excited about books this year.
Congrats, you're now excited about books! Yay!
Yeah, anyway, so those are a handful of things I'm excited about, book-wise, this year. Yeah, just,
I will say, not related to books, but there was one game that was not on your list.
What is on
a very big game that's releasing this year.
Which is?
Doom: The Dark Age.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't play Doom, so therefore it's not on my list of things.
So what makes it a big release? Is it because it's a new Doom game after a while?
It's because I want to play it.
Oh, sure. Okay,
yeah, no, I don't play Doom, so it's not going to be on my list, but it'll be on your list.
Yes. Doom is first-person shooter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's why it's not on my list. I don't really care for first-person shooters. Yeah, no. That's why, every single time everyone's, ranting about Call of Duty, I'm just like, eh.
Okay, and I'm really not huge on first-person shooters either. Yeah. I think it's more so the boomer shooter type thing. It has its own vibe, but
yeah, I feel like I'm okay with first-person shooters as long as they're not Call of Duty, because Call of Duty is basically, to me, it's like if you were to take everything that we all love about first-person shooters, or what we used to love about first-person shooters, and decide, let's streamline it and take all of the fun out of it. That's what Call of Duty represents to me. I know. You guys can at me. You can send your flames. I don't care. Call of Duty... I love zombies. I love playing on the zombies mode, especially when you're playing with someone else who, that's fun. Mm-hmm.
So my friends and I used to play zombies when it was, the original zombies where you were on the farm map, I think it was.
Yes!
So we started playing it, and I had never played it before in my entire life, and we had this whole thing set up where one of us would sit next, because it was the toy box, right? Yeah. One of us would sit next to the toy box. Mm-hmm. The other one would run around and go fix everything.
Yes.
And, distract the zombies by having them be, chased by the person. And the person who's sitting up next to the toy box would shoot down at the zombies chasing your friend.
Yeah.
And then when you got the special toy, I think it was the monkey that we all wanted.
Mm-hmm.
So when that person got the monkey, they would go take the monkey down, put the monkey down, and then they would switch spots with the person at the toy box, and then the other person at the toy box would go.
Nice.
And so we would switch each other back and forth, and that's my only memory of Zombies, because that's the only map we ever played. We hated every other map.
Everything else is terrible. I mean, it's literally they invented the game for that, I feel like. And good on them, because they convinced us all to do it. But,
Some of the earlier Call of Duties stand the test of time. I'd
Okay.
say, but
do you know what's really fun to do with Call of Duty? Read fan fiction about it.
oh, God.
is there Call of Duty fanfiction?
Yeah,
Of course there is.
there is. I've never read any, but it's really fun to read, because that's me segueing into the next area.
Yeah, so are we going to then ask you
Go for it.
horrifying questions about fanfic? Not
Go
horrifying.
for it. Ask me whatever you need to know.
Oh.
So, for the audience, we did a fan fiction episode, I think, like 2 years ago?
2 or 3, yeah.
And the episode was fine, but we're going to rehash that out today.
Yeah, because honestly, the episode wasn't fine. It was terribly recorded. It was difficult to
It was
listen
COVID.
to.
It was
yeah,
COVID.
it was a whole thing. It was
So,
not great.
So I am here as the fan fiction expert, I guess, today, because I'm
Yeah.
the only one who really actually reads it. So,
Yes.
ask me your questions, tell me your thoughts. This will lead into our next episode where I'm going to make Tony and Grant read a fan fiction.
Which I'm actually kind of excited for, because I started...
I'm still going to make you read the MHA one. That one's my favorite.
Yeah, of course. Let's do it. So what nobody knows, because it never just comes up, so I feel like it's not something that is like a deep dark secret. It's just it
Yes.
never comes up. So my writing life, like a lot of people,
Yeah.
started with fan fiction.
Yes.
I was 11.
Yeah.
And I was reading the Jedi Apprentice books at
Yeah.
the time. And listen, the Jedi Apprentice books are barely 150 pages each. They're nothing, right? And they're in these huge print, so it's like they're super easy to read. I tried reading one a couple of years ago, and I was like, oh my god, was it always this easy? It's so fun, like it's engrossing, but it's like it's a super easy read. But I was 11, and I was just reading them. I would get really frustrated because the book would just go in a direction that I didn't want it to go, or like a character would show up. Like Obi-Wan has this best friend who is a Mon Calamari character. She's literally one of my favorite characters from that series, but instead of giving us an adventure with Obi-Wan and her, the writer was like, let's send Obi-Wan off on this other mission where he gets lost on a planet for 4 years and becomes a revolutionary and decides to leave the Jedi Order. Sounds great, right? Except the one character that I wanted to go with him on all of that, who would have been really interesting, wasn't there. Because of course she wasn't. She would have talked him out of it. So, from a plot perspective, it made sense.
Right.
But from a I want what I want perspective, at 11, I was angry. I was
Yes.
like, why would you do this? And so one of my friends who was reading the series with me, who was trying to explain to me, like, plot reasons, you can't do that. And I'm like, she can do whatever she wants. She's the writer. Why is she not giving me what I want? This person said, well, when I don't like something, I just write it as if it didn't exist the way that
Right.
it exists. And I was like, wait, you can do that?
Yeah,
And
that's
she's
called
like,
alternate universe. Congratulations.
yeah, she's like, my friend and I do this all the time. We have our own Star Wars universe
Yeah.
where George Lucas doesn't get to play because he's not here. And I was just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
And so I decided to just start my own. I don't know. I made Obi-Wan do all kinds of things because I felt like it. I ended up taking like a scene from the Pearl Harbor movie, which is ridiculous, and literally going, what if someone blew up the Jedi Temple? Ooh, boom. And literally, I stole that entire scene from Pearl Harbor where she's running around and they don't have any way to identify the soldiers as they're coming in because it's Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
So the main character nurse, who I believe is played by the Underworld chick, what's her name? Kate Beckinsale. Yeah.
I was.
think it's Kate, yeah.
I
Kate-
knew it was Kate something.
So Kate Beckinsale, as a army nurse, whips out the only thing she can find on her person, not a pen, but a lipstick. And starts lipstick writing on people, like, this one should go to this word, this one should go to that, using, like, initials. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh! So imagine, Jedi Temple blows up, young Jedi female, Y, has her lipstick. So she's running around. It's a whole thing, right? So I'm stealing fan fiction ideas from Pearl Harbor and from Star Wars. Why not?
Yeah.
Who knows? Whatever. So that's where I started, was just writing Star Wars fan fiction, because I was like, well, and George hadn't done the Clone Wars yet, and so I was like, well, before he gets to it, I'm going to do it myself. And one of my friends and I were co-writing it, but I didn't like any of his ideas, so I stole back my notebook and wrote over his ideas and then kept writing my own.
That happens.
So yes, so that's fan fiction, how I started with fan fiction. I was going to have a question now. I don't have
You were gonna have a question, and I was waiting for it.
I have a very short addendum, if I can add.
Yes, of course.
to that. I can't remember if this is technically how I started writing, but some of my earliest memories are I had a babysitter, and I would have her dictate what I told her to write down because it was before I could write.
Oh, that's cool.
And there were some stories that, because I was obsessed with Bionicles and Lego at the time, so I would take the characters and have her write down these stories and stuff.
That's brilliant.
End of story.
Yeah.
I mean, if we want to talk fan fiction, my best friend and I have a whole entire Skyrim.
Yeah.
We have a whole entire AU where all of the gods from Skyrim, like both the Aedra and the Daedra, so they're two separate things, are in a college AU together. And
that actually would work.
I take it Hermaeus Mora spends a lot of time in the library.
No, actually, wait. No, so the premise of the whole entire thing is Nocturnal from the Thieves Guild is sisters with Azura, and Azura's way younger than she is, but she's super smart, so she got to go to college early, and so they're going to the same college, and Nocturnal, who we call Nox, absolutely hates it because this is my little sister and she's smart and now she has all this attention but I want it. It's a whole entire sister rivalry. It's a thing.
I mean, Azura does kind of make you want to punch her in the face every time
yeah,
she starts talking.
Except Azura's mine, so
nice.
Hermaeus Mora is her best friend.
Oh, fun.
We call him Herma. He doesn't exactly spend a lot of time in the library. He's more concerned with his boyfriend.
Sure, of
Who
course.
I think we made his boyfriend is the guy from the Werewolf Quest. The werewolf god guy.
Yes. Oh,
And
who
I
is
don't
that?
remember his name.
I don't remember him either, but yeah,
In the DLC?
No.
So when you join the companions in Skyrim, it's basically a setup for a werewolf plot.
Okay,
And so you go around, you have to prove yourself to them, and then they'll give you the werewolf gift, I guess.
Percy.
Yes.
They're in an on and off relationship. It's kind of funny. And then we have Keenareth, who is the temple from Whiterun. She's their other best friend from the Aedra side of things.
Sure.
And she's in a whole entire committed thing with Talos.
She would be.
We have a whole thing, and it's just really funny.
I'm just saying, if Talos is not frat boy, I riot.
He is.
Okay, that's exactly.
He's also there on a scholarship, and so
Of course he is.
No. And that's why all of the current Aedra are kind of it's the rich people school, and so he's the scholarship kid, and so they all don't like him because he's the scholarship kid.
I love that. So
Then Akatosh and Mara are together.
Yeah, that bitch.
And Akatosh is brothers with Marunas Dagon,
Well,
who's best friends with Molag Bal, who are both Nocturnal's best friends. It's a whole entire thing.
Which Daedra is the dragon? He's the god of pestilence or something.
I think that's Maroon's Dagon.
No, that's
Pyrite?
he's humanoid. Yes.
The one who turns everyone sick?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pyrite, he's just there, and I think
yeah.
he has a thing with Sheogorath right now.
Okay. That'd be interesting.
I think he has a thing with Sheogorath right now, and then we have Mira, Vaymira, who's the Queen of Nightmares or whatever.
Oh yeah.
From the Dawn.
From Dawn Star.
Yeah, the Dawn Star quest.
Yeah.
She's in a thing with what's his name, Sanguine. But Vamir is also hopped up on drugs, so there's a whole entire thing that goes along with that.
I mean,
and Sanguine is also the drug dealer of the universe, so there's a whole thing.
She would be. So
he would be.
That's right. He would be.
So yeah.
To ask a stupid question, what is the appeal
to fan fiction?
Yes, either reading, writing, both. What's the appeal of fan fiction for people who don't know?
So the thing that fan fiction's really great for is exploring themes that exist in the world that you are reading in. So I'm going to use Harry Potter for an example.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that I read the most of, and that's the one that I can turn around and go, because there's so much lore in the fan fiction canon for Harry Potter.
Yeah, because,
is you can take something, for example, we can take, for the fact that Harry was supposed to go either in Slytherin or Gryffindor, and he's sitting there with the Sorting Hat in his first year, and he's fighting, he's like, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, not Slytherin. You can take that pinpoint moment, and you can go, well, what if? Mm. And you can throw him in Slytherin, and you can still continue the canon and see how he goes.
Right.
With Ron and Hermione, or you can turn around and go, well, what if he's there and now Ron doesn't like him anymore because he's a Slytherin and he has the whole entire thing against Slytherins.
Mm-hmm. And then they find out he can speak to snakes, and they're like, wait, what?
So but how is Snape going to deal with that? Because now
Snape
Harry is in his house.
That's true.
And now he has to take care of Harry because he's in loco parentis to Harry at the time. Mm. So, like, you can take all of these things and you can explore how the world would work if this was a thing. What if Harry and Ginny don't get together? What if it's Harry and Draco? What if it's Harry and Luna instead? Like, you can take it.
Yeah, that was a big one for a while, Harry and Luna. Yeah.
Well, right now the big thing is Hermione and Draco, which I don't really like in the first place, but... Like,
it's not surprising.
They can take that and you can explore those things.
Yeah.
So it's a way for us to go, I don't like how that worked. Let me see how else we can do it. Or I would like to see this character and this character together for absolutely no other reason than it's just there.
Yeah.
And it would be an interesting way to explore. It's a great way for people to learn new things and come up with new theories about the content that you're already reading. Yeah. But it's also a really cool way to do crossovers. And so crossovers is a fanfiction term, and you see this a lot. So in TV, you would see this with, like, Buffy and Angel. So, like, Buffy and Angel are in the same universe, but they do crossovers with each other all the time.
Yeah, right.
DC Universe, for when it was on the CW, they did a lot of crossover episodes when they went back and forth between each other. That was the genius
of it, yeah. The Arrowverse.
You can do that with different things. So, like, what if we turn around and you do... So, another thing. So, like, if you did Twilight, for example, you have the werewolves. And in the werewolves, they turn around. I'm not doing Harry Potter for this.
No, I know. I'm just trying to imagine what in the world...
Am I about to cross over?
Lestat and Edward Cullen would have to say to each other.
So there's that. But, like, there's a scene in the... I think it's the 4th book of the Twilight series.
Breaking Dawn?
Where they mention that Caius had gotten rid of all the werewolves. Like, in a fit of rage.
Yes. Yeah.
So what if he didn't? What if...
And what if there were just that many more werewolves around, kind of thing?
No. Crossover time. What if there was a werewolf pack down in California in this place called, I forgot what they're called already, but what if Derek Hale from Teen Wolf existed in that pack? Existed in the same universe.
Yeah.
Because they're going on at the same time, canonically, like, in terms of, like...
Like the time periods
are the same. Yeah. Or you could turn around and you can go, well, we're gonna put Harry in the like current age, and now Tony Stark is his dad because he looks a lot like James Potter. What if James Potter couldn't have kids?
And so
they went to Tony Stark and they had a kid. Like, confunded him, imperioed him, do whatever you want.
Or you could do something like, what if Peter Parker showed up at Hogwarts? And actually belonged there, because, I mean, how can you prove he doesn't have magic?
Or you turn around, and one of my other favorite things is, so it's a multiverse theory, so now we have the Marvel multiverse, and we have the DC multiverse. Both are technically existing. Mm-hmm. Technically, Marvel Universe and DC Universe could end up existing in the same spot.
Oh, well, yeah.
So
comics already got there.
No, so what they did, what a fanfiction did that I really like, is Peter got snapped.
Oh,
and he ended up in Gotham.
Oh, I think you were telling me about this one. Yeah.
And then he has to go between the different worlds or whatever, like the different multiverses of Gotham. Like, it's like a whole entire thing.
Oh, that's fun.
So, like, it's a way of exploring things.
Yeah.
I will say the biggest part about fan fiction, that's, like, the biggest thing now, is there are, like, a few rules.
Sure.
One, you always have to put a disclaimer on your stuff, and that is literally because of Anne Rice.
Well, yes, it is.
It's because she turned around at one point, I think this was in the...
It was mid-90s.
Mid-90s, late 90s, early 2000s.
Oh, was it that late? Oh, I thought it was
I think it was like 97.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right.
Turned around and said, like, you can't be writing any of, like, stuff. And so there were, like, some fan fiction websites, and so she sent cease and desist to those websites. Mm-hmm. And there was a mass purge of different types of fan fiction from websites because
Yeah.
people went in. Nora Roberts has done the same thing. George R. Martin does the same thing.
Yeah, he had, yeah.
Like, so you have to put the little disclaimer. 2, you do not sell fan fiction. Ever. If you see anybody selling anything that is fan fiction related, I'm looking at you, Hermione, people selling copies of Manacled.
Unless it's in the public domain.
No.
No?
No. You're not allowed to sell fan fiction whatsoever. It's part of the etiquette. You cannot sell it at all. So if you print it out and you bind it and you sell that as a book, no go. Because technically that goes against copyright laws. Because you're still using that person's stuff. So not only does it go against copyright for the fanfic author itself, but it could get them in trouble with the publisher. It's like a whole thing.
So even if it was something that's in the public domain, if you're using it on your...
I think it depends for public domain.
Okay.
It's a little bit more fussy, but because of the fact that we have all the actual authors also in for things, it's just a rule that you just do not sell fan fiction.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Those are like the 2 biggest rules.
And these are like, well, I mean, they're more than just social rules, obviously, because like if you sell your fan fiction and it is obvious to anyone that that's what you've done, then of course that's going to create legal problems.
You also the 3rd rule is pay attention to the tags of whatever you're reading.
So okay,
and
yes.
if you get offended, scroll away.
So explain tags to people who don't know anything about fanfiction.
So in terms, I'm going to use library terms here because it's really easy for me to use it that way.
Sure.
So tags for fanfiction are similar to subject headings for library books.
Right. Okay.
So how it works is if when you're cataloging something or archiving something, tags are a way to explain what is in the fanfiction.
Right.
So, for example, as I'm sitting here... So, right now, I'm currently reading a Twilight fanfiction that's Arrow and Bella, and it's like a AU after New Moon, where she turns around and she goes and saves Edward at in Italy.
Yeah.
Meets the people, like, so it goes on like normal. But turns out Arrow is her actual, like, soulmate, and it's not Edward. And she's been getting more of a backbone because she's finally gotten out of the depression and realizes, why the heck am I, like, spending my time, like, this dude left me, why am I wasting my energy on him?
Sure.
So it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
So tags can be anywhere from the category. So if it's a male romance, female male romance, those are categories.
Sure.
That's where you have a rating. A rating is the tag. So you have general. So general audience is like your G rating for movies, right? You have a T rating. So that's teen. So teen and up. So that's something like a PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
Then you have mature. Mature is anywhere from possibly like it's an R-rated movie or like a PG-13. It just kind of depends on how much stuff is in it.
Sure.
And then you have explicit. And explicit is something that is like
obvious.
NC-17
Up.
like X.
Pornography?
Possibly, it depends.
I was gonna say, is that a tag that you see used a lot with things that are excessively violent, or is it more?
That's where I was about to get into in a second.
Oh, okay, sure.
So then you can have you have your relationship tags. Your relationship tags are like, who's the characters who are together in this? So, like, this is what it's about. So, for example, the only relationship tag I have in here is Arabella. But you could also turn around and, like, if you're reading Twilight fanfiction and it's an Edward Bella fanfiction, you could also include Rosalie and Emmett and Alice and Jasper and all the other people because they are together and they are all...
Sure.
So, when you're reading a Harry Potter fanfiction, you have, like, Draco and Harry together, but you could also put Ron and Hermione and, like, all these other characters that are together.
Yeah.
You also have your fandom tags. Fandom tags are basically like tags that explain like what the fandom is in, and that's where it'll show up in your archive. So I'm using Archive of Our Own AO3 for being able to explain like where that goes. And so that's where you see like this is a Twilight one. But if you did a crossover, you would both have Twilight and whatever they're crossing it over with as the tag.
Okay.
Then the main tags that we need to focus on are the additional tags.
Okay.
That's the main piece of thing. Because that's going to be those tags that are going like alternate universe, soulmates, character bashing, things like that. Like all of those tags, dead dove, do not eat, are in those tags.
So do the tags, like those particular tags that you were just mentioning, are those tags where, like, the website itself explains what those different tags are, or is that something that you find in other places? Like, you figure out what those...
You
or,
kind
like,
of figure it out on your own.
On your own,
They
okay,
do
sure.
have explanations on kind of what it is.
Sure.
And the great part is you can click on it and it'll show you any type of work that also has that
Has all of
tag
that,
under
okay.
it.
Sure, sure.
But also the author can add their own tags. Like this one says, Bella Swan with a backbone. Not Edward friendly, but there's no bashing. Like, there's that.
Sure, okay.
No
Gotcha.
beta, we die like men means you didn't have a beta reader to edit your stuff for grammar.
That sounds miserable.
Or, let's see, if you're doing Marvel Universe, Howard Stark's A+ parenting is a sarcastic tag. And it just basically means that he was a horrible parent, and we're going to touch base on that.
Sure, sure.
So, or you could do Odin's A+ parenting, and you have that in there as well.
I mean...
And you can just throw that in there. There's, like, tags like that. Or, for example, if you're reading Vampire Diaries fanfiction, Klaus Michelson is his own warning is a tag. So, like, you have those as tags.
That's great.
If you look into more, like, taboo type things, like, so, for example, if you're reading something like Hannibal Lecter, so there's, like, going to be, like, cannibalism, right? Because it's
Absolutely.
Hannibal, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You have those tags, like gore, violence, those tags, those are there.
Okay.
People typically pair those with the tag Dead Dove Do Not Eat.
Gotcha, okay.
So Dead Dove Do Not Eat is a tag that came out of Arrested Development.
Sure.
Where there was a bit where there was a bag in the fridge, and it literally says Dead Dove Do Not Eat on a bag. And the guy opens it and goes, oh, look, this is just so my coworker doesn't turn around and want us to eat their food. So he pulls it out of the fridge anyways and opens it. Lo and behold, guess what's in there?
A dead dove.
Dead dove. And he goes, I don't know what I expected. It's
So
right
that's
there.
like that. Okay,
so
got it.
Dead
Okay.
Dove Do Not Eat is the tag people use when they go, this is in this. If you are squeamish or you don't want to talk about these things, you do not open this fic whatsoever. And some people still open it anyways, and you're just like, why?
So, okay, here's another question, because I'm just curious about this. So let's say you are a little-known writer by the name of Cassandra Clare, or a little-known writer by the name of E.L. James.
Yeah.
And you are writing the kind of fan fiction that people are just loving. They're talking about it, they're, whatever, they're following
I know
you,
where this is
whatever.
going.
And then you decide that it's so successful, that it works for you, that you are going to take your fan fiction, file off all the serial numbers, create some stuff to make it feel a little more creative, because, when I read the Shadowhunters universe, I don't really see the Harry Potter referencing, but everyone who's read her Draco series that was on fanfiction, I think it was .net at the time, has said, oh no, there's Harry Potter connection. Also, she didn't file the serial numbers off as well as you think she might have. So that, plus E.L. James taking Twilight fan fiction and then doing the same thing and creating a fanfiction.
There's a lot of authors that are doing
How, as a member of the fanfiction community, how is that perceived by the community?
It's not perceived bad.
Okay, I was curious.
No, it is not negatively perceived.
Okay.
So, for example, right now, there are two very big Hermione fanfictions that are actually getting published this year. And they were taken off AO3 at the end of December.
Oh.
I have them saved, but one of them was called Manacled, and it's kind of like a Handmaid's Tale meets Voldemort 1 type situation.
Sure. Okay.
And it's people are like, oh, this is a romance. It's a tragedy. The person who wrote it was like, this is a tragedy.
It's got some kissing in it. It must be a romance. No. That's not how that works, people.
So
Romeo and Juliet both die in the end.
Basically, what they're doing is like they take it and they do shave off things, or they have to add world building and put it in a different world. I will say it's not ever really perceived as negative, but people who have read fan fiction and then they see like it be like an author, and this doesn't even have to be like ones that we already know about. It could be like any author, and we know that they've probably. If there's inklings of it, we'll deep dive and we'll go, oh yeah, we see that right there. The thing with Cassandra Clare's series is that nobody for the longest time could, and honestly, I think she combined them, and that's what makes my brain just like, So, what is it, the Shadowhunter series?
Shadowhunters, yeah, is her big flagship series.
Everyone was like, this is a Draco Ginny fanfiction.
Oh, yeah, no.
And the way that we can tell where we're like, yeah, this was not shaved off as well as you think it is because, and seems to be a problem with fanfiction authors becoming actual
like
professional authors, because they don't do this key step. They continue to have their characters look like the characters they were writing the fanfiction about in the first place. Because what is her name? Whatever the Shadowhunter character's name is.
Clary, yeah.
Clary?
Yeah.
Ginger hair. Jace, I think is her person. Blonde, right?
Yeah, no,
so
that's
it's
true.
Ginny and Draco right there.
So if you had read
you get where they're going.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's also the fact that I think, is the Shadowhunter series the one where, like, he was her brother for, like, 0.5 seconds?
For book 2, yeah.
Yeah, so there was also inklings of the fact that possibly it was a Ginny and Ron fanfiction that was written instead. Because she had also written some of that. So, like, it was like a, which one is it?
Interesting. Sort of like a Flowers of the Attic kind of thing?
Yeah.
That's fascinating. I mean...
let's see.
Yeah, like the last son and the favorite daughter. Like, oh, that's gotta be... What a complex.
See. Other fanfiction that came out. So, E.L. James.
Yeah, she wrote Twilight fanfiction. Apparently, I don't know how successful it was, but she admitted it when it was admitted
first came when out. It first came out. We all knew because it was like literally word for word the exact same thing as one of the fanfictions.
That's what I've heard.
Like, she didn't change any words. She just changed the names.
She just made what's the girl's name? Anastasia?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is like A is one step away from B for Bella. Like, okay, sure.
But the main thing with that series specifically is that if you read the original fanfiction was worse because she would put a period in front of, like, every single, like, line. It was, like, a whole entire thing. When they would start talking, instead of, like, a quotation mark, there was a period. She wrote that on Wattpad. It was a Wattpad fanfiction.
Was it? Okay, I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Other fanfictions that became a thing, After by Anna Todd.
That's right,
is a Harry Styles fanfiction.
That's right, yes.
That's, like, a whole entire thing. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Allie Hazelwood. The author.
Is that where she started? Was as a fanfiction writer?
It's Raylo.
Oh, that okay.
It's Raylo fanfiction. Like, a majority of her books, if you read the same thing, and a lot of authors actually have come out with with published works, like romance
that are
books,
Raylo.
that are all Raylo fanfiction. And the way you can tell what they are is if you look at the cover, and it's usually one of the cartoony kind of covers. She has brown hair. He looks like he's got the long face, and it's usually a dude with, like, chin length black hair.
Black hair, yeah.
And he's super grumpy, and that's how you can tell that it's a Raylo fanfiction.
I mean, because the Grumpy Sunshine dynamic is a huge romance dynamic, so of course it kind of screams for it.
Julie Soto also did fanfiction.
Oh, sure.
Like, it's like a whole, like, list. Do we look at it negatively? No, but can we recognize it on site?
Tell.
Absolutely, we can.
That's interesting. So, okay, here's my, like, maybe final question. For this episode.
Oh no.
So, what would you say is the distinguishing factor? Because I've heard you mention this
Tony has heard me rant about fanfiction
and I'm
so much.
interested because I've only ever signed up for a website like this once, and it was webook.com, which, by the way, died as fast as it came out because the whole idea was like if you got on there and you wrote it wasn't about like fan fiction at all, it was about original fiction. So basically like you could go on there
and original works too.
Yeah, and you can create your own original work, and basically what you do is you create a profile for your book. Yeah. And then each chapter that you write you can upload to the thing. And then you end up getting like agents at the time were supposedly scouring the pages for whatever, right? No. They were probably only doing that for like a year because no one uses Sweetbook. But anyway, the point is, long story short, what is it about Wattpad that
makes me vehemently hate it?
And not just you, but I mean, you speak from your perspective, of course, but I've heard this from other people too,
so
that like Wattpad has a reputation, and I'm curious what is that reputation?
So when I started reading fan fiction, I started reading fan fiction on LiveJournal, which existed ages ago. And LiveJournal was kind of like basically like Blogger, but it was like a different thing. So like people would post it on their own blogs. Yeah. I then graduated to fanfiction.net. fanfiction.net
That's where I
had like a
started.
filtering system
Mhm.
where you could filter based on like the rating that you wanted and like the character, like you could filter and it'd be fine.
Yeah.
And that was great. But people who were writing fan fiction were actually writing fan fiction.
Yeah.
There's also at the time Quotev people were writing on, and in Quotev is a place where you could take like quizzes and stuff, and
Oh, okay.
people
Sure.
were writing fan fiction at the same time. I posted a few on there. It went great, except people yelled at me because I wrote one shots and they wanted more. And then you had like Quizilla, and then you had like Wattpad, and then AO3. AO3 came into existence after a lot of the purges on fanfiction.net, and they
Yeah.
wanted a straight archive.
Yeah.
Wattpad, as much as I want to like go against it, Wattpad has a negative connotation with certain readers on the fact that that's where, so you on Tumblr there's the option where you could look up imagines, and imagines are like you plus whatever character you want, so it's like an X reader fic. Wattpad has that, but they also have a lot of advertisements on the website, which makes it very difficult to read through.
Okay.
And the quality of writing is not great.
So, okay.
So it's like,
What's the difference, I guess? Okay, so if you're reading, let's say, a Drary fanfic on Wattpad and then one on AO3, but apart
third
from
grade
it being...
third grade writing level versus 8th grade writing level.
Okay,
Does
yeah.
that make sense to you?
It does, yeah. So, like,
So-
Wattpad, they're definitely writing... Do you feel like...
It's like your
is there more-
12-year-old is writing for the first time, so there are so many mistakes.
Okay.
Which
yes.
is fine if you're also in that age range and you're reading them.
But if you're... Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
And it's more so if you like real person fan fiction, which is also a whole other thing all in itself. RPF, which is real person fan fiction.
Just what
Real
do you
person fan
mean
fiction
by
is when
that?
you write fan fiction about a person.
Oh, like real people do that?
Yeah, so that's where you get. That's what the Harry Styles fan fiction was.
Oh yeah, that's true.
real person fan fiction.
That's fair.
That is real person fan fiction.
Wow. Okay, that's fair. Sorry.
Do you think
that's
the difference in writing quality on websites is like due to a lack of moderation, or like why is that? Just the people that
The people
flock to
who
the websites?
flocked to the certain websites and which one was more accessible to them at the time.
Okay.
Because like if you were younger and you were just looking for like fun, silly little I want to read about Harry Styles, you would look up Harry Styles fan fiction, and you would get more age appropriate stuff on Wattpad, which led you to read a whole bunch of things.
That's fair.
But if you wanted something more like with substance, you went to AO3. It's like a weird.
That's what I was curious about. Because
For me, it's more so like if I'm reading a book. And so, for example, I know I harp on this all the time, but like if I'm reading like Fourth Wing, right? I'll use Fourth Wing as an example.
What book are you talking about? Did it just come out today? It did.
Yeah.
The third
So,
one, I think. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
When I read it, I literally looked at Tony and I was like, "This reads like I'm reading a fan fiction right now,"
But not a good one.
but not a good one,
Right,
Because it reads like the character can do no wrong and there's no actual development. When I'm reading certain fan fictions, especially on AO3, I read the fan fiction and it, like, there is character development out the wazoo because we're exploring the character.
Right.
But, like, at the end of the day, I think both are technically the same in terms of, like, it's just you need to know where to look on the websites.
Sure, and Wattpad is probably, like, because
Harder
it's so
to
accessible
sort
to
through.
young people, it's a lot more...
Yeah. But, however,
Yeah.
it is also harder to sort through because the filters aren't as good.
Okay. No,
And
that's
there's
fair.
a lot of advertisements. Now, the fan fiction I'm going to make you guys read is from AO3.
Nice.
So you'll get an AO3 experience. And I'm making Tony and Grant read a My Hero Academia.
Yeah, I added that to
fanfiction.
my list of if I ever actually successfully write fanfiction, My Hero is a universe that I would like. I don't know how much I would want to write into it. I think I want to do an AU with them just so that I don't have to worry
So
about
the one I'm going to make you guys
specific
read,
mechanics.
and for the audience at home that I'm going to make you two read, is called Hero Class Civil Warfare.
Oh, right. Yeah, you were telling me.
And it is basically like they're doing an exam.
Mm-hmm.
And so they split all of the hero class. So it's 1A and 1B combined into one.
Right.
That's how they're doing this. There is a hero group that's led by Bakugo.
Yes.
And then there's the villains who are led by Midoriya. They get a week of prep time. And then there's This is kind of like a kind of wumpy towards like Izuku and stuff, but like it's more so like this is Izuku wants to go like, aren't you glad I'm not a villain? Like, because he's like super duper smart, and we all know this.
Yeah, and he's
so
also
this is
ridiculously powerful. Because,
the funny part is he barely uses his powers in this one.
That's fun. Honestly, I think that's one of the things that divides early seasons of MHA for me from later seasons, because later seasons he has his power set. And I'm way less interested in Midoriya with all that power, and way more interested in the super nerd kid who's like, I have superpowers and I don't know how to use them. I keep breaking my fingers, but I have love that.
This is actually, so this would be more like super nerd kid, doesn't have the power. Well, he does, but he doesn't have the powers, but he's super smart and is like, you know what? I know the laws. I'm going to do this anyways, and you can all watch me as the quirkless kid gets it done.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like an exploration into that, and it's one of my favorite like fan fictions from that group.
Yeah.
So I think you guys will enjoy it. I hope you will, but we'll see.
It's MHA. I mean,
I'll be the control sample. I having not seen the show, I read the manga.
Grant, also, I don't know, has Grant read fan fiction?
I'm sure I have at some point.
This will be Grant's first foray.
The answer to your question is no. If you're answering that